Then we go to الدرس الرابع. الدرس الرابع in قاعدة النورانية. He brings all of the harakat together, and it's a very short lesson. Starts here and it ends here. And I think personally that this is not a good way of teaching the harakat. The harakat should be given more emphasis than just one page, just a little over one page. It should be given more emphasis. The student should be given more time in perfecting the harakat, because this is the fundamental and the root of a student being able to read properly, especially the fathas. So you see here he brings fatha, kasra, dhamma, and he teaches all of the harakat at the same time. But I think this is not the best method. So for this particular lesson and for this unit, we're going to use this book here. This book is called IQRO QIRO'ATI. طريقة, it's a way, جديدة, which is new, سريعة, quick. A quick new way في تعلم, in learning قراءة القرآن, in learning the Quran. And in learning the Quran, essentially you're learning how to read Arabic, because the Quran is Arabic. Anyone who can read the Quran can read Arabic, generally, with the harakat if they're there. This book, Taqdeem, has been given a forward by Sheikh Yahya, or Sheikh Hafidhahullah, Yahya al-Hajuri. And it's been written by Abu Hazim and Abu Turab. These two Al-Indonezian, two Indonesian brothers who were from the teachers of the Quran and Tajweed and other Arabic sciences in the Maj. And they are both the mu'adhins, or previously were the mu'adhins of the Maj, Hafidhahumullah. They're currently in Indonesia. I believe each one has their own markaz, and they've continued teaching, or they continue in the path of giving da'wah. The point is, this is the book we're going to use in learning the harakat. Why? Because they break down the harakat into smaller chunks, focusing on fatha, then moving on to kasra, joining them together, and then moving on to dhamma and joining all of them together. This tariqah is new and it's quick. Why is it new and quick? If you go to the tariqah tadris, the method in teaching this book, on point 3, they say أن يترك التهجي. They're basically giving pointers for the teacher or whoever wants to teach using this book or study using this book. On point 3 they say أن يترك التهجي كقوله مثلا ألف فتحة أ، لأن هذا يعسر على الطالب ويحتاجون إلى وقت طويل فيضبطه بل يقرأ مباشرة أ ب ت إلى آخره. طيب. Point number 3, they say that the student should avoid at-tahajji. At-tahajji is when you spell out the word. When you spell out the word and you break it down by saying, for example, in Al-Qaida Nuraniya here, the way they teach Al-Qaida Nuraniya is they will teach you Hamza Fatha A, Hamza Kasra I, Hamza Dhamma U, A, I, U, or something similar to that. This is what tahajji is, when you break it down and you spell it and each word individually. Hamza. So with Hamza you're going to have to learn, the student is going to have to learn 3 things. Hamza, you have to learn Hamza, the name of the letter. Then you're going to say the fatha, the marking, the haraka that's on the letter. So that's the second thing you have to say. Then what does that equal? What does it equal? If you have a Hamza and you have a fatha, what sound does that give you? It gives you A. So Hamza, fatha, A. Second one, okay, the letter is Hamza. What's the marking? Kasra. What does that equal? E. Gives you the sound E. Thirdly, Hamza, Dhamma. What does it give you? U. So here, for each one, when you're reading each one, there's 3 things that you have to say. Basically 3 steps. Hamza, Fatha, A. 3 things. Whereas in this book, they're saying avoid step number 1, avoid step number 2. We're just going to teach you step number 3. you're just gonna go to step number 3. So instead of learning Hamza, Fatha, you're just gonna say A. You're gonna memorize this as A. You're gonna memorize this as E. And you're gonna memorize this as U. A, E, U. So they've cut out 2 steps. So the objective, the goal, the end result in both books is the same. But they've taken a shortcut by skipping the student having to say Hamza and saying Fatha, by just giving them the end result, and that is A. So this is why they say that this book is quicker. Or that's why they say in tariqa sari'a, because they avoid that. So mubashara, immediate, you're just going to say A, Ba, Ta. And this is very good for a person who wants to learn in a quick space of time. In a quick space of time, you learn quicker through this. And it's easier for the student having to memorize one thing as opposed to 3 things. Instead of saying Hamza, Fatha, A, you're just going straight to A. It's easier for the student to memorize one thing than to memorize 3 things at the same time and memorize that order as well. Hamza, then Fatha, then A. But whatever the case, both give you the same end result. Okay, so we're going to start learning from this book. We're going to start learning from this book. So we said that the first harakah is Fatha. The first harakah is Fatha. That's what the teacher is going to teach us. The 2 teachers here in this book, that's what they're going to teach us. They're going to bring the Fatha with the individual letters. So in lesson 1, he's only going to teach us A and Ba. So Hamza with the Fatha and Ba with the Fatha only. Then he's going to introduce Ta and Tha in the second page here. He mentions it at the top where he's going to teach you Ta and Tha. And he's going to mix and match between these 2 that he's introduced here and the previous ones. So every time you're going to revise what you've taken previously, he's going to add 2 more letters, 2 more letters, and so on until the end. So here the letters are written individually. The letters are written individually. And notice how this book doesn't start with Alif, Ba, Ta, Tha. It doesn't go. So the first page, the first lesson is A, Ba, straight. Is going straight into teaching you how to read. It doesn't teach you Alif, Ba, Ta. However, with all books, there's benefits. There's things that are good, pros and cons. I think with Al-Qaida Nuraniya, the way it started off, with the Alif in this order, this is the most common way, and this is very good for a student to know. Important for a student to know, in fact. Before going and jumping into the harakat, you should know the letters, the names of the letters, how the letters look when they're joined, being able to identify them. This is why we spent phase 1 doing this, phase 2 doing this. And after that, that's when you begin the harakat. And this, the pros of this book is that the harakat is given a lot of time and is broken down into smaller chunks, and it's easier for the student to understand. So we're going to begin reading, okay? Stand here, please. Hi, Bismillah. Okay, I'm gonna point. You have to read at the word, the letter that I point to. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so all we're learning in this lesson is A and Ba. This is Hamza. Okay, this is one thing I want to tell you also. One thing is, okay, with regards to the harakat, all of these letters except harakat. All of these letters except harakat. You have fatha on all of them, you can have kasra on all of them, and you have dhamma on all of them, except for alif. Alif does not take fatha, alif does not take kasra, alif does not take dhamma. Alif is vowelless. It's a vowelless letter. It never takes fatha, it never takes kasra, it never takes dhamma. So with this here, remember we studied that this is not alif. This is actually hamza. This is a hamza taking a fatha. So we're learning here hamza fatha. We're not going to have alif. Even though alif is the first letter in the alphabet, we're not going to have alif fatha, ba fatha. Rather we have hamza. Hamza fatha a, ba fatha ba. But obviously the author doesn't want us to say hamza fatha a, ba fatha ba. He just wants us to read a, ba. This is lesson 1. We just need to learn a and ba. Okay. A, ba. Ba, a, ba, a, ba, ba, a. This is all we're learning. He's gonna bring these in different orders and so on, just to test your understanding. Okay, hi, carry on. Let's carry on. Yeah, ba. Okay, so we start off slow and then we need to start getting faster because we're going to learn how to read fast after. Okay. Louder, yeah. Speed this. Okay, calm down now. Let's start this one again.
No.
Okay, start again. Loud, yeah. Okay, it says here, ihfad, memorize. This is what you have to memorize from lesson 1. This is what you should have learnt. Aba. This is what you need to know, yeah? Anytime you see hamza with the fatha, you say a. Anytime you see ba with the fatha, you're going to say ba. So, previously, in this lesson, we were identifying the names of the letters. So, we're saying ba, ta, tha, noon, or kaf, alif, kaf, a, kaf, alif, ba, kaf, ta. Now we're learning that these are the names of the letters, but when it comes here, we need to say the letters ba, a, not hamza. So we're not saying ba, hamza. We're saying ba, a. So the ba with the fatha sounds the same as the name of the letter. The name of the letter is called ba. It's called ba. Yeah, ba with the alif. Whereas the harakat, the stretching of the harakat is half a second. Yeah, this is something important to bear in mind also. When you're reading the harakat, each of them, fatha, kasra and dhamma, their length is half a second. So it's like if you're reading a word, like if I was to read this word, a, ba, a, half a second, one haraka. Yeah, one haraka is half a second. Ba, a, ba, a, ba, a, ba, like this. It's important to have this measurement, half a second, because there's going to come letters where it's going to become 1 second or 2 harakat, and you need to be able to maintain the measurement and the lengths of the harakat correctly, and the ones that are elongated or stretched, the mudud, you have to elongate them. Okay, so here we've learned a and ba. Today we're going to do ta and tha also. Let's do ta and tha. We're learning ta, tha. What did you learn here? A, ba. Now we're learning ta, tha. This is easy, isn't it? It's the same as the names of the letters. Ba, ta, tha, same thing. But we're not stretching. We're just going to say ta, tha. Also, he's going to mention a and ba also in here. So you should already know a, ba. He told you to memorize, so you should already know it. Now we're adding ta and tha plus the revision of a, ba. Okay, let's read. Try and read quick, yeah?
Ta, tha, tha, ta, tha, ba.
Okay, that's very quick. That's very quick. A little bit slower, yeah?
Ba, da, a, da, tha, da, tha, a, da.
So tha, a, ta.
Tha, ba, da, a, ba. A, tha, sa, sa, da, ba, da, sa, da, sa, da, sa, ba, sa, ba, da, da, sa, da, da, sa, da, sa, da, ba, da, sa, ba, da, ba, sa, ba, da, ba, sa, da, ba, sa, da, ba, da, sa, ba, da, sa, ba, da, sa.
Okay, so now we should have finished abatatha. We should know 4 of them. Whenever these 4 letters have fatha, whether they are written individually like this or they're joined in words, they're always going to have this sound. Abatatha. Hamza, ba, ta, tha. If they have fatha, they're going to sound like this. Abatatha. So he's saying ihfad, memorize. Now you've done 4 letters with fathas, and this is how the book is going to continue, and how we're going to continue also by following this book, inshallah, where he's going to introduce 2 more letters and he's going to revise what we've taken previously. So after these 2 letters, we're going to have memorized 6 letters. We're going to have done 6 letters and so on until we finish, inshallah, the huruf, the letters with the harakat. And then he's going to bring in other harakat, inshallah, later on. But we're going to follow this pattern with the harakat in learning the fatha, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.